Before we begin, if you're home alone tonight, make sure your front door is locked, because sometimes the thing knocking isn't looking for a way in. It's waiting for you to invite it. This story happened in the small town of Ashwood, Oregon, a quiet place surrounded by endless forests, a place where everyone knows everyone, and where people never answer a knock after 3 in the morning. 29-year-old Ethan Carter didn't believe those stories until he became one. Ethan had just moved into his grandfather's old farmhouse after losing his job in Seattle. The house stood alone at the edge of the forest. The nearest neighbor lived almost half a mile away. It was exactly what Ethan wanted. Silence, no traffic, no people, just peace, or so he thought. The first 3 nights were completely normal. He unpacked his boxes, cleaned the old wooden floors, and spent his evenings watching horror movies while rain tapped softly against the windows. On the 4th night, everything changed. At exactly 3:03 a.m., knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks echoed through the house. Ethan opened his eyes. He looked at the clock beside his bed. 3:03. He sighed. Probably teenagers. He walked downstairs and looked through the peephole. Nothing. The porch was empty. The rocking chair moved gently in the wind. He opened the front door. No footprints, no car, no people, only darkness stretching toward the forest. He laughed to himself. Guess I imagined it. He locked the door and went back to bed. Exactly 5 minutes later. Knock, knock, knock. The same rhythm, the same sound. This time, louder. His heart started racing. He rushed downstairs again. Nobody. Not a single soul. Only cold wind. The trees swayed slowly, as if something inside them had just disappeared. The next morning, Ethan visited the local grocery store. While paying for coffee, the elderly cashier looked at him.
They are coming.
You moved into the Carter farmhouse.
You have to go
Ethan
now.
smiled. Yeah. The woman's face suddenly turned pale. If you hear knocking after 3, she whispered. Don't answer it. Ethan laughed. You too? She didn't smile. Instead, she crossed herself, then quietly said, It doesn't like being ignored, but it hates being invited. Ethan left without asking another question. That night, he stayed awake on purpose. His shotgun rested beside the couch. Every light in the house remained on. 2:58 am. Silence. 3:02. Nothing. 3:02. Still quiet. Then 3:03. Knock, knock, knock. This time, the entire front door shook, not gently, violently. Almost as if someone incredibly strong stood outside. Ethan slowly walked toward the peephole. His breathing became shallow. He looked outside. Nothing. Then, movement. At the far end of the porch, a tall woman stood completely still. She wore an old white dress soaked with mud. Her long black hair covered her face. She wasn't looking at the house. She was facing the forest, perfectly motionless. Ethan blinked. She was gone. He stumbled backward. His hands trembled. He checked every window. Nothing. Then, from upstairs, he heard footsteps. Thump, thump, thump. Someone was walking inside the house. Ethan froze. The footsteps above him were slow, heavy, deliberate. Thump, thump, thump. Each step echoed through the old wooden ceiling. The sound wasn't random. Whoever, or whatever, was upstairs, was walking toward his bedroom. Ethan grabbed the shotgun from the couch. His hands shook so badly he could barely hold it. He whispered to himself, "There's nobody here. There can't be." The footsteps suddenly stopped. Complete silence. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. Ethan slowly climbed the staircase. Each wooden step creaked beneath his feet. Halfway up, he smelled something strange. Wet soil, rotting leaves, like someone had dragged the entire forest into the house. He reached the hallway. Every bedroom door was closed, except one, his grandfather's old study. The door was slowly swinging open, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. A cold breeze drifted from inside. Ethan pushed the door open. The room was empty. Dust covered every shelf. An old desk sat beside the window. On top of it lay a leather journal. The cover was cracked with age. Across the front, 3 words were carved by hand. Lay a leather journal. The cover was cracked with age. Across the front, 3 words were carved by hand. Do not answer. Ethan slowly opened it. The first page read, "If you're reading this, then it has already found you." His heartbeat quickened. The next pages were filled with dates. Every entry, exactly 3:03 a.m. One page caught his attention. Night 7. It knocked again. I looked through the peephole. It smiled. Never opened the door. Ethan swallowed hard. Then, a loud crash came from downstairs. He ran into the hallway. The front door was wide open. Cold wind rushed into the house. The shotgun slipped from his hands. He knew he had locked that door. Slowly, he walked downstairs. The porch was empty. But this time, there were footprints. Not human footprints. They were long, thin, almost like someone with impossibly long fingers had been walking instead of feet. The prints led away from the porch, toward the forest. Then suddenly, they stopped, as if whatever made them had vanished into thin air. Relieved, Ethan slammed the door shut. He locked every bolt, every chain. Then he noticed something. Mud, fresh mud, on the living room floor. One footprint, then another, then another. They didn't lead outside. They led inside. Ethan slowly looked up. Standing at the end of the hallway was the woman in the white dress. Her head remained lowered. Her hair covered her face. She wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing. She was simply watching him. Ethan couldn't move. The room became freezing cold. The lights flickered. Then, in a voice that sounded like dozens of people whispering at once, she spoke. "You opened the door." The lights went out. Everything became black. Only one sound remained. 3 slow knocks. This time, from inside the house. Darkness swallowed the entire house. Ethan couldn't see anything. His breathing grew faster. Then, knock, knock, knock. The sound wasn't coming from the front door anymore. It was coming from the wall beside him, as if something trapped inside the house was trying to get out. The lights suddenly flickered back on. The woman had disappeared, but the muddy footprints remained. Only now, they were leading upstairs against every instinct. Ethan followed them. Each step felt heavier than the last. The hallway seemed longer than before. The air was freezing. At the end of the hall, the attic door was open. He was certain he had never opened it. A rusty ladder hung from the ceiling. Something was moving above, slowly, scraping, dragging. Ethan climbed into the attic. His flashlight cut through the darkness. Old furniture, broken toys, dust. Then he saw it, a large wooden chest. Across the lid, someone had carved the words, "Never let her inside." The lock was broken. The lid was open. Inside the chest lay dozens of old photographs. Every photo showed the same farmhouse, different years, different families. But one thing never changed. Standing somewhere in every picture was the woman in the white dress, sometimes behind a tree, sometimes at a window, sometimes directly behind the family, looking straight at the camera. Ethan's hands trembled. Then he found one final photograph. It had been taken only a few months earlier. His grandfather stood on the porch. Behind him, the woman smiled. For the first time, her face was visible. Her eyes were completely black. Her mouth stretched far wider than any human smile. Written on the back of the photo were 6 words.
We're gonna have
She only
so
enters
much
when
fun.
invited. Suddenly, a whisper came from behind Ethan's shoulder. "You invited me." He turned. The woman stood less than a foot away. Her face was pale, cracked. Her smile impossibly wide. Her black eyes reflected no light. She slowly raised one finger and pointed toward the hallway below. Ethan looked down. The front door was wide open again. Cold wind rushed through the house. The woman began walking toward it. Not outside, inside, room by room, as though she now belonged there. Ethan remembered the journal. There was one final page he hadn't read. He ran downstairs. The journal still lay open on the desk. The last entry read, "If she ever enters, do not run, do not scream, do not look into her eyes, because the house no longer belongs to you. It belongs to her." The lights exploded. Every window shattered. The knocking stopped. Complete silence. The next morning, police arrived after neighbors reported hearing glass breaking during the night. They searched the entire farmhouse, every room, every closet, the attic. They found Ethan's shotgun, his phone, his wallet. But Ethan Carter was never found. The farmhouse was abandoned once again. Months later, a young couple bought the property. They laughed when the locals warned them about the strange stories. On their 4th night, at exactly 3:03 a.m., knock, knock, knock. If you heard someone knock on your door at 3:03 a.m., would you answer or would you pretend no one was there? Sleep well, because not every knock comes from the living.